like parts of the Quran, like
that's fine.
Surah 9.
929, 9 verse 5, don't worry.
51, 34.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Well, for me,
But there's,
I would say like the majority of Muslims are cool, right? But as for from what I've seen in the scripture itself, and you can definitely make the same criticism.
Yeah, don't need it. It's okay now, alhamdulillah.
You could definitely make the same criticism of the Old Testament, right? But the problem I have with that is that Christianity went through that reform, right?
No, New Testament as well. It's in the New Testament as well.
No, there's also a couple of things in the New Testament that you should be questioning.
But it's contextualized, right?
Yes, it's contextualized, but my problem is
so it's the same in the Quran.
My problem is this, and once again, I think you're probably an alright guy, and the same goes to
maybe
2/3 of the Muslims in this
maybe not.
Maybe, obviously I don't know you like that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, there are clearly X amount of Muslims in the world, and you can probably make the same case for anyone of any religion.
What, terrorists?
Yeah, terrorists. Yeah. So
I agree.
But and what they say is like every time they do something, it's Allahu Akbar. So why do they say my God is greater than yours every time they do something?
No, we don't say greater. We say He's the greatest.
Okay, so that's what Allah.
That's what it means. Allahu Akbar means Allah is the greatest.
Why is it when these guys go and do something bad, they always quote a verse from the Quran or the Hadith?
Look, people have done this throughout the centuries, right? Cite religious texts that doesn't support them to claim that it supports them. Right. It happened in the Crusades. It happened with certain Islamic organizations. All right. But it doesn't mean that's what the teaching is, does it?
So what would you say is like the tenets, like the main tenets of Islamic teachings? Like
to believe in one God. To believe in one God, right? To believe in His prophets, to believe in the scriptures, to believe in the angels, to believe in predestination, whether it was good or bad, and to believe in the divine. And to believe in. Heaven and hell, the last day. That's the 6 articles of faith that are key to every Muslim.
And in a practical sense, what does that look like? Like in a real world?
In a real world, so
what does that look like? So how does a devout Muslim conduct themselves?
By treating his brother how he'd like to be treated.
Is that
regardless of faith?
Okay.
Right. So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in his last sermon, that an Arab is not superior to a non-Arab, and a non-Arab is not superior to an Arab, right? Black man is not superior to a white man is not superior to a black man. But the superiority comes in what? Piety. So those who are more righteous. Okay. Those who are more righteous, who stand with God, those are the ones who excel, right? Or are better than others. But that's in the eyes of God. We don't go around and say, I'm better than you because I believe in God better than you do. No. This is for God to judge, right? But for us, we treat one another with kindness and humility. In the Quran, in chapter 6, verse 8, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah does not forbid you from dealing kindly and justly with those who do not throw you out of your homes. And of course, there's a historical context to that, as the Muslims, like the early Christians, were persecuted for simply I'm being positioned for the camera. So, so there's a context. Allah does not forbid us from dealing kindly and justly. And even if we talk about the context of war, like you said, chapter 9, verse 5, 929 and stuff, there is a specific context to that. And this is with regards to people who have enmity with us.
So since I mentioned it, what's the context within which 929?
So 929 is actually in the context of a battle that never took place, right? But it mentions that, when people come to attack you, to fight you, to kill you, yes, you retaliate, right? You retaliate and you defend yourselves, you fight them back. And you have no mercy upon them when you're fighting them. But what people tend to not add on is in chapter 2, verse 190 to 192, it mentions the same thing, fight them until there's no corruption. But if they stop fighting you, then you stop, right? So when hostility ceases, you should be quick to cease hostility as well. And then it finishes off by saying, and Allah is forgiving, right? So we could talk about the wrath of Allah, but when it talks about the ceasing of hostility, Allah mentions His attribute of forgiveness, right? So I would advise you to read the Quran in its entirety. Good.
If you'll give me a Quran, I don't know if that's a thing.
No. We usually do have a Quran. Can we get a Quran, inshallah, for him?
Do I bring it back?
No, that's for you to keep. That's for you to keep. Yeah. Can someone bring one for him, inshallah?
Thank you,
yeah,
brother.
that's okay. That's not a problem. Yeah. At the end of the day, like we said, Islam is for all of mankind. It is not for the Arabs, particularly, or anyone. And like I said, Christianity in its inception, Judaism in its inception with Moses and with Jesus, it was for the but it was for the children of Israel, and it was never to be preached to be otherwise. Whereas Islam, at its inception, it was for all of mankind, right? As Allah Subhanahu wa Taala mentions in the Quran. Regarding the Prophet, peace be upon him, indeed we have sent you as a mercy to the worlds, right? Not even mankind, to the worlds. And the angel, and the thing is, it's interesting because there is a narration where with the angel Gabriel, he came, he was with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And Muhammad, peace be upon him, asked the angel Gabriel, who said, he read this verse, when the verse was revealed, he asked the angel Gabriel, he said, has my mercy reached you? And the angel Gabriel said yes, because until today I did not know my status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And of course we know that the angel is the supreme angel, right? He is the highest of the archangels even. But for the angel of Gabriel, it was the revelation of the Quran that gave him that peace with regards to his station with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's how the mercy of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, transferred to the angel Gabriel. So it's not even about mankind; it's for all the worlds. This is the power of the message of Islam. This is the power of the Quran that has come to the world. All right, so it's specifically for you. And when you read it, inshallah, you will see that how it speaks to you as an individual, as well as speaking to all of humanity. And the Quran is a guide. It is not a storybook. All right, it doesn't go through. It mentions some of the stories of the prophets, but in order to teach us a lesson. To give us guidance to be better. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions about those who go astray, who choose to go astray, and gives them the warning. There is a balance here. That those who do righteous, they will attain good in this world and in the hereafter. And those who do bad deeds, they will attain a foul destiny in the hereafter, right? Namely hellfire. But at the end of the day, it's our choice, how we conduct ourselves. So when you mentioned that most of the Muslims are good and good people, it's the Quran, it's the message of Islam that makes us this way.
Here's what confuses me is how people talk about Prophet Muhammad when he was in the Meccan period and then when he was in the
Medina.
There seems to be quite a profound difference between how he conducted himself, how he preached his teachings.
No.
So, from the way I can see it, it seemed like he was a more peaceful person and he was preaching a more positive message in the Meccan period than when he was in the Medinan period.
So we know which surahs are the Meccan and which ones are the Medinan surahs. But if you look at the Quran, you won't actually see a shift, right, in that. How the Prophet ﷺ conducted himself was the same way, even in Medina. Yes, he engaged in warfare and battle, he was a statesman, he was a leader, he was a military man, and he wasn't that in Mecca. But even in Mecca, when the companions were being persecuted and everything, he would give them prophecies of military conquests. He said, while they're being persecuted and killed, that's for you, no problem. While they were being persecuted and killed, the Prophet ﷺ said to them...
Does this have the hadiths in it as well?
No. The hadith is separate. You can come at any time and ask us questions and everything. Many of us have channels where you can come, and contacts where you can email us and stuff. I'll give you my contacts if you need. He was telling them about military conquest. He said, you will conquer Constantinople, which happened. We know it happened. But this is at a time where they were persecuted. So when we're talking about the Prophet ﷺ and how he changed with regards to how he dealt with people, no. Because the prophecy in itself saying about his congregation, his people, the Muslims conquering other people, engaging in warfare.
That's a lot of mics going on.
I know. I'm already way down with the water. Now they've got the mics. Now they've got the mics on. So, So, and even when you see the Prophet ﷺ outside of war, during battle, he was a lion, fierce. The companions would hide behind him. If they were wavering in their courage, they would fight behind him, and he would go forth.
Is this? I know there's like 3 separate definitions for jihad. Is this what you define as jihad?
Yeah, this is also jihad. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So jihad fi sabilillah comes in many forms. Yes, as you mentioned.
So it's like the inner war.
Yeah, the inner struggle. Then you've got defensive jihad and offensive jihad. Now, so in battle he was like that, but outside of battle he was the best man you could. Even in warfare he conducted himself in a perfect way. But outside of the battlefield, he was just like he was in Mecca, even more gracious, right? The Prophet ﷺ, there's many stories. For example, the Jewish woman, every time he would walk past her, she'd throw rubbish at him, rotten stuff. She'd throw, and then one day he walked past her house and she didn't throw rubbish at him. Do you know what he did? He went in to check on her to see she was okay. So, I mean, normally, if it was me, walking past someone constantly, I'll be thankful. Oh, freaking, at least I get a day break. No, he went in to check on her. It's a Jewish woman who absolutely hates him, throwing rotten food at him. And he goes in to check on her.
So, this is why I've kind of brought a difference between him during the Meccan period and the Medina.
No, this is in the Medina. This is in the Medina period. Yeah, because the Jews are situated in Medina.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
My bad.
That's okay.
So, see, in some ways it seems like he's a decent guy. Right, but then, and I hate to bring this up because I know you probably get it a lot.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
The stuff with Aisha.
Yeah, that's fine.
Her being 6,
yeah.
and then
9.
And I get that people make the argument that obviously it's a different time and back then, blah blah blah, this and that.
See, I won't make that argument to you.
Yeah. So for me, the same way that we as a people, we've always understood the difference between man and woman. How is it that Muhammad, he seems like he was historically a pretty smart guy. How is it though he didn't understand that there was a difference between a child and an adult?
He did know.
But then, see, this is the problem I have though, is that she was still playing with toys narrated by herself, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And all the other girls would like disappear as soon as he appeared, and then he would do what he wants with her. How? And I understand that, like, for Muslims, Muhammad is the
pinnacle.
The example. You should aspire to. What's the word?
To be like him, to emulate him. That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
Does that not mean that you're also implying that what he did, paedophilia, is how I define it?
No, that's fine if you define it that way. So have an understanding.
Does that not mean you're implying that what he did is acceptable?
Yes, not implying. We're saying yes, that's acceptable. Not only acceptable, we have no issues with it.
In all ages.
No, see, the thing is, we have.
Because this is what.
No. Even his marriage. Okay, you mentioned paedophilia. Let's define paedophilia. Paedophilia is a sexual attraction to prepubescent children. Correct?
Yeah, and
that's how it's defined.
What Aisha would have been, wasn't it?
Right. Was there a sexual attraction to her?
He had sex with her, isn't it?
No. She was 6 years old. Did he have a sexual attraction to her?
I can't say when she was 6 he had a sexual attraction to her.
Right, so he didn't.
He only married her, but at 9 he did have sex with her.
Okay. At 9 years old, she's a woman. Okay. We'll get to that. Okay. But we'll look at the definition and then we'll look at the reality. Now, the reality is he wasn't even interested in her. Why did he marry her then?
I couldn't answer.
Allah told him to. All right.
So, yeah, he brought her down with that bird, isn't it? In the cloth or something like that. Like, I read this yesterday or something, very briefly.
I'm not too certain of what you're
Allah sent her down like she was in some kind of.
Oh, the dream, yeah, okay, yeah. So then he went to Abu Bakr.
Yeah.
And Abu Bakr was hesitant. Yeah, radiallahu anhu. He was hesitant of giving his daughter to the Prophet Muhammad. But was the reason her age? It wasn't her age because someone else has already proposed to her before.
Yes.
Right. So she was. It wasn't her age. It was because it was awkward between two best friends. That was his reason as to why he was hesitant. They were so close that he was like, "But you're my brother. That's how I see you. I can't give you my daughter because you're my brother." So that was the hesitance. And what do you call it? And Rasul ﷺ corrected him. He was like, "Look, oh yes, we're brothers in Islam, but she's lawful to me." So, and at the end of the day, so then the marriage in of itself happened due to revelation. It wasn't due to any paedophilic trope, right? And a paedophile, he will exercise his lust on a prepubescent child. What did he do, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He waited 3 years until she attained womanhood. Now, why do we say attained womanhood? It's because she passed blood. Yeah, she passed blood. So she became a woman. right? So when that happened, then he consummated the marriage. So what does that do for us as Muslims today in this setting? A couple of things. Yes, Muslims mention about the time, which means we have to take into consideration culture. So, the time that we live, the times that we live in. That's one thing. The second thing is we ensure that we determine that she is a woman, that she's able to.
Okay, so can I ask you this? How would you define a woman?
How do we
No,
define
like,
a
what meets the criteria?
Right. A woman is a woman who has past blood, right? That's
No,
what.
but it's got to be more than that. Like,
No, that's the defining transition for a woman between being a child and being an adult, right? See, for us as Muslims, we don't have the concept of teenager,
okay, so
adolescence.
here's what I would say women is. And obviously, I'm the West. I've been born and raised here in London. I'm a Western guy.
I was born and raised here as well, but
So,
I don't buy into the. I don't buy into
Here's
this.
how I and I think the majority of them,
Yeah.
regardless of their religion, will believe what a woman is.
Okay.
It's an adult human female.
What makes her an adult human female?
She's past puberty. She's
Right.
gone through her puberty. She's gone through
Right.
the stage of puberty. She's
Exactly. So,
developed.
but that's exactly what I said. She
At the
passed
very,
blood.
if we're going to go by law, obviously we'll say it's 18 and over.
No, but the thing is, so we say past blood, right, or puberty, okay? Now, there are some women that don't pass blood, okay, but they're still considered women because they still go through puberty, they just don't pass blood, right? Amenorrhea is the condition. Now, that's the criteria for us, right? So we have to take into consideration the culture. We have to take into consideration the fact that the woman is a woman, right? And she's not a child. We have to take into consideration her mental ability, right? So she has to be able to consent as well, which Aisha radiallahu anha, she was able to do. Now, for us standing here today, thinking about a 6-year-old consenting, it's hard for us to understand.
Yeah,
I get
I
that.
would never accept it.
Okay, I get that. But that's the history, right? That's the history. So we learn that a woman has to be able to give consent, okay? And that she's able to fulfill her duties, okay? As a wife, okay? So this is the other. So these are the factors that we have to take into consideration when we are approaching a woman for marriage, right? Now, in some Arab countries, we still betroth our daughters at a young age, right? But we ensure that they've passed puberty and that they consent to the marriage. Forcing a woman to get married is prohibited in Islam, okay? Despite some cultures doing it, we fight against it. I'm aware of the problems that Muslims have.
Can I ask you where you're from, by the way?
Yemen.
Ethnically?
Yemen.
Oh, Yemen.
Yeah.
And are you Sunni or Shia?
I'm Sunni. Alhamdulillah, yeah. Don't worry about the Shia. Sorry.
Is there a big difference?
Massive difference, right? So the Sunni position is evidenced, right? This is why I'm a Sunni, because I can evidence it from the Quran and the Sunnah and all our texts, right? And tradition and everything. So when it comes to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when we break it down like this, we show that there was nothing immoral about what the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did. At the time he was living in, the culture had this, where girls as young as that, would get married. Okay, but he set the standard.
I came here to see him as well.
He gave us the example of how to conduct ourselves when approaching marriage. It was not to say that because he's the example for us, that means we got to go around finding 6-year-olds. That's not what it means, right? In fact, marrying a 6-year-old is one of the things that is not a sunnah for us.
So,
it is not a tradition for us.
Iraq recently, you probably will do this. I saw this a few weeks ago, their parliamentary system or whatever, their government system, they were attempting to implement
The Sharia.
No. So they wanted to lower the age limit for
That's
marriage
fine.
for little girls
Yeah, that's fine.
from whatever it was down to, I think it was 9.
I don't think it was as low as 9.
From what I understand, it was 9.
I've not seen as low as 9.
So,
But regardless,
is that justified?
regardless, if no, see,
Based on,
the thing is,
it's based on
for me, yeah, exactly. It's got to be based on the evidence of the scriptures and the tradition.
Yeah.
Islam does not have an age of consent, right? It doesn't have an age of consent. Because, for example, let's take the 9-year-old example. For example, if Iraq is in Tiduna. If it's a 9-year-old girl, okay, but even if, let's say it goes through. If there is a 9-year-old who is able to consent, who is who's past the age of puberty, who can fulfill her duties in the marriage, and it's society and the society and the culture accepts it, then by all means go for it. But why is there no age of consent in Islam? Because we could have a 25-year-old girl, beautiful, what do you call it? She's past her menses and everything, but she has a mental illness. Does that qualify her for marriage? No.
No, because you wouldn't be able to say that she's able to give.
Exactly.
But this is what I was going to say.
I don't know.
Mind me interrupting.
That's fine.
This is what I was going to say. We have to go at this, I guess, from a more scientific point of view. So science would say a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old are not able to give consent because their brain hasn't fully developed in a way that allows
Today, yeah, I agree.
Moral decisions.
Today, yes, I agree.
Marriage is a highly moral decision.
I agree.
Engaging in sex, especially for the first time, even for me, that's a highly moral decision. I don't, and science has said it's not that from day one. So,
but notice what I said. If they have the mental ability, right, to consent to fulfill their duties, that's the only time they will be. If that's not fulfilled, we cannot marry them.
But what I'm implying is that Aisha wouldn't have had the ability to consent.
No, but you're taking 21st century studies and imposing it on the 7th century. The 7th century.
How do we know then that Aisha herself was able, mentally, physically, you can make the case. She's
the one that's narrating this.
Yes, but what I'm asking is, how can you make the case that she really can consent? Because science says we've been like this from day one in terms of our mental development.
No, but that's not true.
So then did she develop differently?
No, Aisha radiallahu anha, she was like most of the women at her time. At a very young age. I can even prove it to you today, right? When we look at war-torn countries or countries that have extreme poverty, you see little children, as young as 6, 7, 8, they're doing the work of adults. Why? Because in order to survive, they are forced to mature mentally,
yes.
Right? The environment around them forces them to mature quicker than a girl would in the UK, living a comfortable life. Likewise, in the 7th century, you have the desert, it's always survival. So you're forced to mature. So Aisha, that's one perspective, right? But we know in the history that in the Arabian Peninsula, the girls were able to consent at that time. It was a norm, right, for girls to be married at that time. So like I said, to question the history here doesn't really make sense because it's well documented. In fact, what has happened in the Arabian Peninsula, particularly in the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ, is more documented than any other time in history with relation to an individual and a community. So there is no questions about that. Yes, there are people that try to cast doubt on that and go down the Orientalist route, but we have arguments to prove that they are wrong in their assessments. But going back to the whole idea of paedophilia as well, what are the mental and what's the mental trauma and the physical trauma that one would get from that? We know what girls go through mentally when they are abused in that way at a young age. You don't see any of those. You don't see any of that in Aisha radiallahu anha. In fact, she grew not only to love the Prophet ﷺ, and to defend him, but she was a scholar. She propagated his religion, right? All of these things are the complete polar opposite of what you would expect.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So I understand.
I'm not saying she can't grow to love who he was, but
yeah, we can talk about that. We can talk.
As a child, it was wrong for Muhammad to engage in sex.
No, but he didn't. That's the thing.
When she was like, he don't have sex.
Well, when she was a woman, he did. He consummated when she became a woman.
Sorry, I just want to ask. So when you say she became a woman, is it when puberty starts, kind of thing, or is it?
No, when she was
as soon as that
her menses, yeah. When the menses, so for us, the sign of puberty, of someone hitting puberty and reaching the age of accountability,
yeah.
It's a physical sign. For the women, it's passing blood, and for the men, it's their first wet dream, right? So for me, I'm not going to say for me when there's cameras, but for any Muslim man, as soon as he has his first wet dream, he's accountable by Allah. At that point, Allah has decided that you are capable of making decisions, moral decisions. So that is the marker of when a man and a woman can engage in intimacy, can get married and engage in intimacy.
So you don't, like, the way we view it here in like Western civilization
Yeah.
would be teenager, and that whole period
Yeah.
is you becoming. You say
For
as
us
soon
it's-
as that happens,
you're an adult.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
Okay,
makes
so
sense.
my question after what he just said is, how do you decide that? How old are you? If you don't mind me asking.
33.
33, right. So
How old do
would
you think I am? No, I'm joking.
So I'm trying to guess people's age.
Yeah, go on.
How would you then compare you as a 33-year-old to I don't know, a 15-year-old boy? Would you say that you're able to make moral decisions better than he is? Or?
No, look, in terms of the decisions of right and wrong, obviously my experience, my life experience, will allow me to make better decisions than he can. But the principle of knowing between right and wrong is the same. I just have more experience, right? That's the only thing that's separating between me and a 15-year-old is experience, is a life experience. Life experience has taught me how to analyze certain decisions in several more ways than I would have at 15. And this is what we pass on to them. We don't, at 15, I wouldn't go to a 15-year-old and teach him what is right and wrong. You get me?
You have to let him know.
He already knows. I just help him in his thought process of how to judge things. That's the thing. But I don't need to go to a 15-year-old and say, by the way, this is right and that's wrong. Don't need to do that. No one does that. Unless, of course, they have an impairment of some sort, and that's where the pin. And for us in Islam, if someone has a mental impairment that they cannot make those decisions, moral decisions, the pen is lifted. Allah does not hold them to account because out of His justice. So why would you hold someone to account who can't make a decision for himself? There's the justice and there's the mercy of Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's not unjust to any of His mankind. He doesn't command anything that's immoral. Even with, we touched briefly on jihad, even in jihad, the enemies have rights. Yeah? So if we capture an enemy and we tie them up, we cannot harm them. Right? So if they are tied, we are not allowed to harm them because they're tied, they're subdued.
You're going to make a few more points, aren't you?
Yeah, so I'm just, in terms of the people that we capture, in terms of the jizya, the jizya tax, okay? If when they pay it, they have the right to have their own churches, their own legal systems even, education and everything. They're able to do that. In warfare as well, there's very stringent rules. We cannot attack, religious buildings or priests and rabbis. We cannot even cut down a tree if it bears fruit. If a tree bears fruit, we can't cut it down. Because even though we are fighting the enemy, we know who the tree bearing fruit is going to be used by. It's not the army, it's the people. So even in that, we have conduct and guidance to ensure that we do not transgress the limits and become oppressors. We don't oppress the people.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
So I want to touch base then on, you mentioned jizya.
Yes.
So jizya that's genuinely paid by dhimmis.
Yeah.
Or is it, you guys use the word dhimmi or
Dhimmi.
zimmi?
Dhimmi.
Dhimmi. That implies that I, as a Christian, if I was in an Islamic state, I would be a second or a third class citizen. No?
What does that mean? What is
I've never lived in that kind of situation.
No, but
so
what does the term even mean? Dhimmi.
Dhimmi, I don't know the literal definition.
Right. The literal definition means the protected person. Right? So a dhimmi is someone who has paid the jizya tax in order to be protected. Okay? And even that's an option. So if for example, and the thing is it is only paid by men like yourself who are able-bodied and of military age. Right? And when you pay that, it means that when it comes to warfare, I have to lay down my life for you. Even though I'm a believer in Allah and His Messenger and you're not, my blood is to be spilt for yours. Right? So this is the level. So when we talk about second and third class citizen, what does that actually mean? It doesn't mean anything in the context of a dhimmi. Because in fact,
we can look to other examples in history, like for instance, if you looked at the way Nazis treated Jews, I mean, you didn't even get to be a citizen.
Who?
Right? The Nazis, if you were a Jew, they would
yeah, but they're not Muslims. We're talking about.
Yes.
So,
The point, I'm making an argument based on your assertion of what a dhimmi is.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if you're a second or a third class citizen, that generally means you're not going to be treated the same way as a first class citizen. You're going to be afforded less rights, less privileges.
but is that the case with the Sharia? It's not. I mean, if we have a dhimmi, it means you live under our land. You pay 1 dinar per year. Yeah, 1 dinar is like, I think, let's say so it's worth £100 today. You pay £100 a year for your protection. Okay? And with that £100, what do you get in return? You get exempted, not only exempt from military service, but if in the event of a battle, you get protected from war. Then you have the right to establish your own education system according to your belief systems. You have the right to preach your religion. You have the right to practice your religion. You have the right to use the same facilities as the Muslims.
So, as I understand, I'm not completely well-read on this.
That's fine.
As I understand it, there's several Islamic nations where non-Muslims are persecuted, whether it's Christians or any.
I'm talking to you from the perspective of the religion.
No, so I'm just making a statement. I'm going to ask you a question. Sure. Based on the statement. So if you look at Egypt, Islam right now there is the dominant ideology or religion.
Yes.
And Christians, historically, the Coptic Christians have been persecuted. I don't know if you'd agree.
They're still there.
Yeah, no, they're still there. But what I'm saying is they get persecuted. They're not treated equally to Muslims, as I understand.
No, I disagree.
Okay, do you want to?
I disagree because, throughout their history, we've been in Egypt since the 7th century, right? So for 1400 years, their churches still stand from when they originally built them, right? So we didn't purge them, right? We didn't.
No, I'm not saying you purged them.
Yeah, but we didn't. I'm not saying that there were never moments in history where there was a malpractice of the Sharia and non-Muslims were persecuted. There are examples. There are examples in Morocco, for example.
What would be your opinions or your views of the current way that the Iranian regime?
Iran is a Shia. Iran is a Shia state. We have even more fundamental issues with them than what they're currently doing. Okay, they're not our friends at all.
But they still have Islamic beliefs.
No, they don't. They don't.
No? So what is it that makes you as a Sunni Islamic in your beliefs?
Okay. So they believe in the concept of the 12 infallible imams. Okay, for the most part, right? And they are actually their sect was born of people that killed Muslims. All right.
I'm assuming that's why you have had war.
No, but it's also from a theological perspective, right? They attribute things to men that can only be attributed to God, which takes them out of the fold of Islam, essentially, right? So there are some Shia that we deem as disbelievers and some Shia that we deem as simply severely misguided, depending on what their theology is. But in terms of their application of the Sharia is different to what we do, and it's not a just system, okay? But in terms of the world today, leave that to the Muslims, all right? With respect, it's none of your business because that's a problem we have to deal with, okay?
So as a Christian, I believe in, we should, I believe in what Bob says about being a Muslim Christian. So, standing firm in my faith.
Standing firm in your faith is one thing.
And I believe that it is right that I should liberate, I'm sure maybe you as a Muslim would say the same thing, that I should liberate my fellow Christian brothers and sisters when they're being persecuted. Give them liberty. So for me, I can't look at what's going on over there and say it's none of my business because a lot of the people there are converted to Christianity. Of course, they're probably.
Look, I'm talking about in terms of the geopolitics regarding Muslim rules, rulers, and that stuff. That is a problem for us to solve, right? It's not for the Christians to solve because it's within our paradigm. It's within our nation.
Respectfully, I've got to disagree with you there because if you look at why the Crusades happened, it was right before the Seljuk Turks. It was right in line with the Seljuk Turks invading Christian nations and pillaging and.
Yeah, but that's when there's a crossover, right, between two warring nations.
This is why the Crusades happened, right? Like because Islamic nations that's Christian nations.
Okay.
I understand it.
No, well.
So I get where you're coming from. You're saying that Muslims, they should be left to Muslims and Muslims should sort it out, right?
Yeah, Muslim affairs should be left to Muslim affairs.
Let's say you switch it.
No, in the same way, like we don't get involved in Christian affairs.
Right, but if Christian nations, as they already have in Iraq and Afghanistan, where they've come, to start war, they kill everyone there or X amount of people, and a lot of these people are Muslims that end up being killed, and they're just innocent people, right?
Yeah, but then we get involved.
And you get involved. So why shouldn't it be the same?
Because now it's crossing over into our territory, right? So. Like I didn't say to you, don't worry about the Christians over there. I said don't leave Muslim affairs, right, and rulers and geopolitics. Leave that to the Muslims to deal, right? We have people for that. But I never said to you, because you've got Christians in Iran, forget about them as well. No,
okay, so
right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about the bigger picture. But what I'm saying to you is regarding Islam, what Islam teaches. If the entirety of the Muslim world, didn't apply Islam correctly, it doesn't take away from the message of Islam and how Islam should be implemented. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ himself mentioned that Islam will become a stranger, i.e. the people that follow Islam in the true way will be very small, despite our number. So, and that's a prophecy that's being fulfilled, right? A testament to the fact that he is a prophet from Allah. So, we're more than aware of what we need to do as Muslims. We've got things to fix ourselves, which is why we don't chuck things at the Christians. We have our own problems. We don't try to get involved in Christian policies. But where it conflicts with our values and stuff, yeah, we stand up when we defend against it. Because now it's crossing into our territory, and we're like, whoa, stay back a little. And I expect the same from the Christians. But at the end of the day, we don't want that conflict. We want peace. We want people to treat each other with respect and with kindness and with justice.
Do you want? Sorry,
yeah, go.
So you want peace and all that stuff. So is there a context within which you want that to happen, like a caliphate, or is it regardless of where?
Regardless of whether there is a caliphate or not.
Okay, so
we want a caliphate because the caliphate establishes a base where Islam can be spread across the world and we can proselytize more effectively.
Is that something you believe should happen, or is it an ideal?
No, it's something I want.
For you?
Yeah.
Well, and what if everyone
decides? It's better than what you've got at the moment.
Don't get me wrong, bro. I hate the government too, probably as much
Respect.
as you do. Yeah, especially now. But,
okay, so, because the caliphate means establishing a societal system and a government system that will benefit Muslims and non-Muslims alike.
Right, but then what if the majority of people, the majority of non-Muslims, which imports the majority of this country, basically, what if they say no, we don't want it?
Islam is not a democratic system.
Right. So what happens when they say no, we're not having that?
Well, they have a choice. No, but they have a choice. They can either remain.
So my question is, what's the consequence of them saying no? What happens then?
Nothing. If they don't want it, they can go to different lands.
No, but this is what I'm saying. This is our home. So if like, for instance, if I come into your home, right, and I say, all right, here's what we're going to change. I'm just a guest, essentially, in this context.
No, but this is no. But it's not a guest anymore.
Can I
Go on.
So let's say you invite me into your house, and I come into your house, and I'm just a guest, right? And then I start making rules. I start staying longer than you welcomed me, and I start making rules. You can't do this. Put this over here. Blah blah blah. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, that's a different. The analogy doesn't work.
Why not?
Because we're not talking about someone that's just come in as a guest and starts dictating things. We're talking about a governing system, right? They are the people that have now been put in charge.
If I start setting rules there,
what you need to ask is,
isn't there not an issue because I'm doing that against
but the question you should ask, what is the system? In the same way we ask the question to the government today, what is the system that you want us to follow? Right? And they don't ask us if we like it or not. They tell us that this is what we're going to do. It's a guise of democracy. Let's be honest, this country is not democratic. It's not, right? So we got the elections and everything, but at the end of the day, they do what they want to do. And if we like it, we like it. If we don't like it, tough. We'll either stay or we go to another land. Same thing with the caliphate. So, but what happens under a caliphate? What's the rules? Whatever you do at home, we don't get involved in, right? What you do in public and what affects society, we get involved in, right? And what is it that we're going to legislate? We're going to legislate things that are beneficial for mankind. Not things that are going to harm them. Like this country at the moment, it legalizes gambling, drinking, sexual immorality. I mean, the whole idea that you're allowed to be intimate at the age of 16, but you can't get married until you're 18.
I've got a problem with life and laws.
Right. So whereas us, we're going to protect. We're going to say, we don't want you drinking in public. Can you drink it at church? Yeah.
What about at pub?
No.
Right. See, this is where we're clashing, right? Because I'm an Englishman, obviously not ethnically.
Yeah, but we're not. But the thing is, we're not stopping you.
This is a part of our culture, isn't it? So we like to drink in fellowship.
You can do that. You can do that in your own gatherings, but
And our gathering places are oftentimes, when it's not at our home, it's at the pub, it's at the bar.
I agree that. I understand that.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is,
And my question is to you. So I know I hate to keep interrupting.
Yeah,
I haven't fully made my point.
No.
My question to you is, why should we not do that?
because it's not good for you.
It's not good for you if you go over the top. If you start drinking more than you can
No,
handle and
no.
you lose yourself.
You were talking. You were talking about doctor. You were talking about what doctors say and the science says. What does the science say about drinking? How much is acceptable?
I don't know the science.
0%.
Right.
0% is acceptable.
Right, but regardless of that.
No. Wait, hold on a second. Are you saying you're gonna now you want to ignore the science?
No, I accept absolutely.
Look, be careful with your desires.
Yeah, absolutely. But regardless,
So when
it is
two
a
men
part of
stand
our
over there and
capitalism.
start kissing, are you going to accept it?
No.
Is it acceptable when two men stand there?
I mean, I don't like to look at two men kissing, but if that's what they want to do, don't let them do it.
That's why this
No, see, but
society
in
is
public,
messed up.
no. In public, no. There is zero tolerance on things like that because it causes corruption in
For public
society.
displays of affection or for gay men?
No, even
I'm trying to understand the context
look,
of it.
even for a married Muslim man and woman, right, a heterosexual married couple should not display intimacy in public, right? This is an Islamic ruling. If I'm walking with my wife, it is not advisable for me to even hold her hand, right? Because one thing leads to another.
And what does
And,
that mean?
physical connection, which is why Muslims, we can't even shake the hands of another woman, right? Physical contact, there is a biological thing that happens with physical contact. Huh? It could. We're not saying.
I'm trying to get you to
We're not.
elaborate
Yeah,
on that.
no. We're not saying that something happens immediately, but like the softness of a woman's hand could do something to. It could make a man feel something, right? Or the roughness of a man's hand could do something to a woman. You never know. No, that happens. What?
Bro, I hug a lot of women. I shake hands with a lot of women. There's women.
I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it will.
The
I'm
point
saying
I'm making
we're
to
talking
you-
about the potentiality of things.
But this sounds like, for instance, if it's you that has this problem, you shake a woman's hand and you feel something and blah blah blah.
No.
That sounds like that's a you problem. That's not a men problem.
No, this is within the nature of man that a woman is beautiful in her entirety, right?
Right, but shouldn't men be? Would it not be better and more? Would it not be more logical and more beneficial than instead to say that men should control their impulses?
That is what we say.
No,
But no.
You're saying
thing
that
is-
we as a people, men and women, can't do certain things because us men will react.
Because prevention is better than the cure. So what you don't want to do is put yourself in that position to then control yourself. You'd rather not have to control yourself in the first place and stay away from it, right? So like I said, even
Muhammad lied about Jesus Christ.
even-
Jesus is not the prophet of Islam. That's the biggest lie of that
La hawla wa
donkey
quwwata illa
I
billah.
Muhammad.
hear what you're saying over.
That's all right,
Biggest
that's all right.
lie of donkey Muhammad.
Anyway.
Muhammad is not the prophet of Islam.
What was I saying? So yeah, Islam has a principle to prevent things from even starting to happen. So even for Muslims, we were talking about drinking. For Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even says in the Quran, وَلَا تَقْرُبُوا, right? Don't even come near alcohol, right? So don't even come near it so that the temptation doesn't get to you. Because you always have Satan whispering, you know? And what does Satan do? He doesn't tell you to do the bad thing. He doesn't say that. He will say to you, like he'll say to me, he was like, you know, look, why don't you go hang out with your non-Muslim friends? Doesn't mention anything about drinking. Then you start hanging out with your friends. They having a beer and, you know, 1 pint or one bottle and everything, and you're not doing anything. Then he'll say, oh, what do you call it? You know, you like hanging out with them. They're going to the pub. Why don't you go? You can just have an orange juice. Again, no mention of drinking. You'll go to the pub. You know,
But in
you'll
this
have it,
context, you can still end up drinking.
and then you end up drinking, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His love and mercy for us, He keeps us completely away. He doesn't even allow Satan to even be able to whisper these ideas, because every avenue is blocked from its inception. So that's what I'm saying to you. For you as a Christian who's drinking, me as a Muslim telling you, I'm gonna, if this was a caliphate system, and so I said to you, you can't drink in a public setting, that's not me taking away your freedom to drink. You can still do that. You can still have your gatherings and stuff. Just don't affect the society. Don't make it a norm for society to go and have a pint or get drunk on a Friday night or on a Saturday night, because that's what happens. The pub culture has breeded this idea that it's okay to go and get smashed on a Friday night. So, and we're like, no, because the last thing we want for you as non-Muslims is for you to wake up with your head in the toilet.
No, that's fair enough. I get where you're coming from.
So the prohibition is for your sake. Now, Islam doesn't give a damn about people's feelings when it's good for them, because the society takes precedence over the individual. When it comes to your individual rights, we don't impede on it. Even homosexuality. If you are homosexual and you do homosexual acts behind closed doors, the government can't touch you. We talk about the stoning and the throwing of the roofs and everything. The part of the Sharia is we can't touch you. And when can they even touch you? If there is intercourse, if two gay men have intercourse in public, that's the only time they will be taken to court and go through the judicial system and then potentially be executed for the act.
Can I just interject? You know Iran
Yes.
is the only country in the world that you can be transgender and actually change your birth certificate from man to woman. In Iran.
Yeah.
The only country in the world.
No, what country?
Iran.
Iran.
If you change gender, you can change your birth certificate from man to woman or woman to man.
Yeah. Well, see, like I said, Iran.
That's how
I do personally.
Yeah. Well, Iran. Well, yeah, exactly.
This is the part where I probably got asked
completely.
to blow my face out. I don't want to get cancelled.
If you worry about being cancelled, you need to check your faith with God.
No matter what.
Check your faith with God, because for us as Muslims, our belief, we rely solely on Allah, and we know He's with us, so we don't care about cancel. Because who's our sustainer? Who sustains us? Right. So what does cancel? If everyone wanted to cancel you and God didn't want you cancelled, would you get cancelled?
I guess not.
No. All right. Everything I said today on this camera will get me cancelled 100 times
I
over.
would ask you though, could you blow it? Because I got another application to join the armed forces, so I don't want that to become a security issue.
Oh, you want your first blurred out?
Yeah, is that okay? I don't know.
The thing is, I've got to find 5 people now and ask them to do that. You should have said that from the beginning. Look, I can't guarantee it because these are not my cameras. I can ask the cameraman. Can we blur his face out, inshallah? He wants his face blurred out, okay?
Thank you, brother.
Why are you here in public place and you want your face blurred out?
No, he's got an application,
you've got the right,
so yeah.
Why can't?
Why? Because I wanted to converse with people that have.
Yeah, no, but you don't want to be seen. It's a nonsense.
No, it's
Seriously,
it's
it's a public place. If I want to stand here filming, I have a right to film.
yeah.
No, I'm not saying you don't have a right to
Anyway,
film.
yeah.
I'm not saying you don't have a right. I'm just asking for my face to be blurred out. That's what I'm asking.
So
I think what he's asking makes complete sense.
It makes sense, but if I want to stand here filming,
And I'm not saying you can't.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't.
Yeah, you got
but you can't tell me black out his face.
no,
He's not telling you to do that.
I'm not saying you can't.
they can.
He's asking them.
I'm
Okay.
asking. I'm not saying.
Can we have his when we upload it? Can we have his face blurred? Yeah. I've told the other bros. I'm waiting for the other bros to tell them as well.
I know that's. I know. I should have asked that at the start, but you can do that.
That's fine. Look, at the end of the day, I'll accommodate as much as I can. But like I said, I can't guarantee I'm not in control of any of this stuff. Okay. So yeah, but the thing is, as I'm saying these things to you, does it not bring Islam into a perspective to you that you can say, wait, hold on a second, that actually makes sense?
No, some of it sounds like it definitely doesn't make sense, but I can't. I do appreciate everything you said, but I also have to go and read the scriptures for myself.
Naturally.
And formulate my own opinion. So the same what I'm trying to do with
Look,
that.
Islam. The basis of Islam is knowledge. We invite you to Islam and we give you the knowledge. Naturally, you don't know me, right? You don't know if I'm talking absolute, rubbish. So naturally, you're going to go away and research. But when you go away and research and realize that what I said to you is actually the religion, then ask yourself the question: why do I not accept something that makes sense to me? See, for us, it's not the core message is not love and peace and and all of that. Salvation is achieved by the knowledge of who you worship, the knowledge of who Allah is, the Creator, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, the merciful, the beneficent, and the most merciful. Right? He is the sustainer. He is the witness, Al-Shaheed. Right? So He is the one that witnessed everything. So when we have historical claims from the Quran, we know they're true because God is the witness. Right? Makes sense. God is the one who witnessed everything over all time, has all knowledge of everything that's happened. So what He says is going to be the historical reality, even if the entire world writes books against it. Crucifixion being an example. If the entire world said Christ was crucified, but God is indeed the author of the Quran, then what? He never got crucified, right? Makes sense. So Allah has the 99 attributes. Look at these attributes, and you'll see He is a Qahhar. He is a Al-Malik. Yeah, he's the king. He is the owner. So these are the attributes of Allah. For us, it's knowing who God is. Only then can we appreciate who He is and worship Him as He wants us to worship Him. Alright? So that's the basis of Islam. La ilaha illallah. There is no deity worthy of worship except Allah. Which is the statement of Moses, the statement of Jesus, peace be upon him. It's the same message. The only difference is the legislation. And even that, and even that, it's very similar to the Old Testament. Stoning of adulterers.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
Right?
So, but then again, you have the New Testament now, isn't it? And that's, you have the New Covenant also. So would you not say that Christianity? I mean, this is me. Obviously, I'm still a newbie anyway.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Would you not say that Christianity is performed in a way that Islam has not?
Islam,
because like your scriptures are going to be the same now that they were
1400 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
So would it not be more beneficial for Muslims in general for Islam for there to be some
reform?
Yeah, some extent of
no. If
you could.
So there's a statement in the Quran. There's a verse in the Quran where Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says, "Today I have completed your religion, and completed and perfected your religion, and chosen for you Islam as your religion." So this is straight from God. He's saying, "Today I've completed and perfected it." What comes after perfection? Imperfection. Right? So if you already have something that's perfect, you need to change it.
I mean, obviously, if it's perfect,
you don't need to change it.
Would you say that Islam is perfect?
Yeah. There is not a single thing about Islam that ever needed change throughout the 1400 years. And that's a testament to the legitimacy that it is from God.
So
because
why do you
God,
have abrogation?
Abrogation happened at the time.
Yes, but if Islam was perfect, then why did...
After the message was done, okay, what was abrogated at the time? Allah abrogated it for specific reasons, right? So even like the law of drinking, at first it was permissible. Drinking was permissible, but Allah then said to the Prophet ﷺ and the companions. So obviously the Prophet ﷺ didn't drink, but he's the bearer of the message. But the companions, they were told, don't pray while you're intoxicated, which means they can still drink, but they shouldn't be praying while intoxicated because they don't know what they're saying. And then that was abrogated. With what? Do not even come near alcohol. Why is that? Why did God do that? Why was it progressive in that way? So the abrogation was progressive. And sometimes it wasn't progressive. But it was to help the companions of the Prophet ﷺ apply Islam in their life. So ask a drunkard, and the Arabs are drunkards, right? Alcohol was life, right? If you think the pubs were bad, you should see the companions at the time, right? So imagine asking an alcoholic to quit overnight. It's not practical, is it? Allah knows His creation. He knows they can't do it overnight. So He gradually gets them to stop. And when Allah knew that they could stop it and cut it off, that's when He revealed the verse. Do not even engage. And what happened? They said on that day when that verse was revealed, the Medina was, the streets of Medina were flowing like rivers with alcohol because they were breaking all the pots of wine. And rivers of being tossed away because they were ready to give it up completely, And this again shows in terms of the history how Allah knew when the people were ready to abide by rulings. That's not something that the Prophet, peace be upon him, could have known about all of his companions. That at that point they were ready to completely, drop alcohol. Only Allah would know. Only God would know. So rulings like this is actually a testament to God. Even the abrogation is a testament to the fact that God is knowing of His creation and helps them with their guidance when they want to be guided. Abrogation happened at a time, but nothing was abrogated afterwards. So at the time that the Prophet, peace be upon him, died and revelation ceased, there was no change to it. That point onwards, up until today, nothing has changed. And that is a testament to the legitimacy that it is from Allah, that it is from God. Because only a religion from God does not need to be changed.
So, just so I understand the point, you're saying that from the point that abrogation had occurred and after,
Yeah.
that Islam is a perfect religion, essentially. Is that, am I understanding you right?
No, look, everything that was revealed was perfect, okay? But it was perfect for a specific time, right? So
Okay.
there is revelation that is based on events and in certain circumstances, right? And there are some verses that are revealed on a generic sense, right? So there is a history behind the Quran, considering it was revealed over 23 years. So we know we know some of the moments in history during the life of the Prophet peace be upon him, where these certain verses or these certain chapters were revealed, giving us the context and the lessons behind why they were revealed, what we should draw the lessons from, and all of that stuff. So again, every single verse in the Quran, we refer to them as ayah, meaning a sign. Ayah. Yeah, ayah means sign. So every single verse of the Quran is a sign that is from your Lord, and it's a testament that He is the creator of the heavens and the earth and everything in between. So you have the Quran, read it, and you'll see that message come through. Okay, investigate it, and what do you call it? If you want, I can give you my email. It's not an
I'll
issue.
just come back here and find you and talk to you.
That's fine. Like me personally, I come every now and then, like once a month or once every 2 months. But the other brothers, they can help you out.
If we see each other again, I'm sure I'll just come.
No, that's fine. It's not a problem. Is there anything else you want? You wanna learn?
I can't think of anything else to ask for the moment. So, yeah, no. All I can say is thank you.
No, it's fine. Appreciate your character.
Thank you.
Yeah. So your character. One of the things for us in Islam is the the excellence of character, and you've displayed that today. So I appreciate that.
Okay. My thing is, speak to people you disagree with, otherwise you're never going to understand.
Well, keep that. Keep it. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, you as well. All right. Bye. We don't know which cameras to address now. Wa alaikum assalam wa
I
rahmatullahi.
enjoy watching your YouTube video. You kind of bust these Qadiani lot.
Jazakallah
I was
khair.
watching that.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I'm glad it was beneficial.
He lied about Jesus Christ.
خلاص يا
Jesus
نعم.
Christ is not the prophet of Islam. The
Yeah,
Muslim
that's it,
Muhammad,
finished.
he
Inshallah.
lied about Jesus Christ.
Need the
Jesus Christ is made up.
which one's which?
I just wanted to say thank you. I was just listening to the whole thing. It was a good talk you were having.
That's okay. It's not a
I
problem.
really like the way you talk.
Thank you.